SwayamPrabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello and welcome to Marketing Management, a VUCA perspective. We are discussing core concepts, and as we come to the fag end of this entire 40 lecture series, we enter the most interesting part of marketing communications, where we talk about integration of all of these factors and look at integrated marketing communications, which is the core of what needs to be done today, has been continuously being done by organizations worth their salt. And on this exhilarating and fun journey, I am your friend and tour guide, Siddhi Bhattacharyya. In the words of famous marketing doyen Philip Kotler, who has taught the world marketing management in the most inimitable style, he says, integrated marketing communications is a way of looking at the whole marketing process from the viewpoint of the consumer. So, the consumer here and their perspective is essential and central to understanding how integrated marketing communications approaches the entire subject and endorses the best way and the best foot forward as an exercise. It is inclusive to begin with, and each of the aspects of integrated marketing communications have been chosen meticulously so that the impact generated from it is very, very powerful. The entire media mix is available, and yet the choice of media selections therefore in an IMC campaign are deliberate, and that is because they meet the specifications of the core central idea, which therefore does the magic out there. With that, we enter integrated marketing communications, the first in this series, and this is module 37. The art of marketing communications is very, very sublime. It looks at today's fragmented media landscape. Consumer attention spans are falling to extreme levels, about 3.8 seconds, which is less than the 8-second attention span of even a goldfish. That is the amount of attention people on an average are able to give to a messaging, because there is just way too many media encroachments and disruptions in the regular life. And this faces the critical challenge therefore of delivering cohesive messages across an expanding universe of channels, because there is a lot of white noise which comes at consumers, and to drive your communication messaging through that white noise becomes that much more challenging. This presentation gets to understand how IMC it empowers organizations to craft consistent strategic narratives and resonates through complementary platforms and touchpoints. IMC's core principles will be talked about here, and transformative impact through various examples like Beats by Dr. Dre, and provide actionable frameworks like powerful brand integrated campaigns that maintain brand integrity and maximize audience engagement will also be discussed, and how they matter across the entire customer journey. So, with that, let us understand how marketing communications has evolved over the years. There was a traditional era which we have already seen. This was post World War II prominently, and here distinctive marketing departments operated in isolation. It separated the teams for managing advertising, PR and direct marketing campaigns with minimal collaboration across the board. There was a transition period right after, where organizations began recognizing how fragmented messaging created consumer confusion, and it weakened the brand identity and diminished the overall marketing effectiveness. Then there was an integration era where everybody wanted to bring everything together, and forward thinking companies derived a holistic view of consumer touchpoints. This was the 360-degree marketing era, but then you were trying to spread yourself too thin, because you were strategically aligning all communication channels and you were giving consistent reinforcing messages, but your choice of putting everything out there on each specific media outlet was actually straining your revenues and not really checking for what worked best with the organization. So, finally, when we got into digital integration, we were able to fit in the feedback loop as well, and here sophisticated technologies came by which now enable seamless omnichannel experiences and dynamic coordination across platforms. These create personalized customer journeys and give you constant brand messaging, and most importantly, they also keep checking for ROI, and that makes it very, very important to study this particular advent. The marketing landscape has changed this way, and it has looked at dramatically disconnected tactical activities and moved into sophisticated integrated approaches in this particular fashion. It helps maintain the message consistency and leverages each medium's unique capabilities and creates powerful synergistic campaigns, one breadcrumb leading to discovery on another, and that is how the entire process keeps going forward. So, how do we understand IMC? There are various parts to this understanding. By definition, IMC is a strategic business approach and seamlessly coordinates all communication channels to deliver consistent, compelling messages and reinforce each other, maximizing the impact and building meaningful customer relationships across touch points. The next point I have emphasized and cannot emphasize enough is finding purpose, because again, like Simon Sinek's golden circles, the why is at the very center of whatever we do. Then you've got the how, what, and finally the how. So, this is how the brand will get it done, but at the core of it is the first thing, which is why, which is what has to resonate with consumers. And so, therefore, IMC aligns all communication activities with core business objectives, ensuring the message consistency across platforms and the powerful synergies that finally happen between channels. It also optimizes resource allocation and gives maximum ROI on marketing investment. Benefits wise, it gives unified brand storytelling so that the consistent picture of the brand is devised in front of the consumer. It strengthens brand recognition and recall, eliminates wasteful redundancies and creates seamless customer journeys across all channels, drives measurable improvements in conversion rates, consumer loyalty and revenue growth, and all of this you can consistently keep improving, tinkering with and learn from your experiences as you go forward. So, all of these things help you combat what is eroding brand trust and splintering the customer experience and diminishing the effectiveness of every marketing dollar spent, because now you have reins on all of these factors that take away from your marketing activities. There are 4 levels of IMC integration. First is external integration. Here you establish seamless coordination with external agencies, partners and stakeholders. Then you get them to adopt this internally. So, here you foster cross departmental collaboration and information sharing, so that everybody inside the organization is on the same page. Then you also integrate it vertically, and communications reflect and support the organization's strategic objectives and brand positioning, in fact making it meet also your other suppliers, vendors and whosoever work alongside. And horizontally you also integrate it by getting all customer touch points included, marketing elements covered, and you deliver a finally unified brand experience across the board. So, this helps you with broader strategic marketing and business goals and maximizes their contribution to organizational success. Now, internal integration breaks down the department silos to facilitate efficient information exchange and consistent messaging throughout the organization. External integration synchronizes efforts with outside partners such as agencies, public relations firms, media channels, etc., to give a unified brand voice in the marketplace. Now, let us look at the Beats by Dr. Dre success story. Now, here there was a visionary founder born Andre Young. Dr. Dre transformed the audio landscape by leveraging his credibility as a founding member of the NWA, and he was a Grammy winning producer to launch revolutionary premium headphones in 2006. This identified the market gap which other industry veterans had overlooked. The sound quality of Beats by Dr. Dre was amazing, and that is how it captured the market. Now, it had a premium positioning priced boldly at $300, nearly 10 times the cost of standard earbuds, Beats redefined consumer expectations with its distinctive bass heavy sound signature and instantly recognizable design. The logo, the way the headphones looked, it established a new luxury category in personal audio, and therefore, it established the kind of acceptance within certain communities and the aspiration amongst the others. It also turned into a cultural phenomenon because masterful integrated marketing and celebrity endorsements helped Beats transcend its identity as a tech product and become a coveted cultural status symbol, and that became essentially a fashion accessory worn prominently by athletes, musicians and influencers worldwide, whosoever was trying to get hold of a Beats by Dr. Dre headphones. Now, this exemplifies how integrated marketing can elevate a product into almost a cultural movement. And merging audio engineering with fashion sensibility, Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine created a brand that commanded premium prices and reshaped how consumers perceive personal audio. And this ultimately culminated in the magnum opus buyout of Apple taking control of Beats by Dr. Dre at a $3 billion purchase in 2014. So, with that, Beats integrated marketing strategy showcased how it worked that particular magic. The initial RTA, the reason to authority, was with Dr. Dre's stellar reputation as himself being a pioneering music producer and establishing immediate credibility in a market where authentic sound expertise is paramount to consumer trust. Strategically, the product placement was put in masterfully leveraging across the industry whatever connections Dr. Dre had. So, Beats secured organic visibility in high profile music videos featuring influential artists like Lady Gaga, Miley Cyrus and Nicki Minaj, and because of the adoption by these very prominent celebrities, that got the acceptance of the brand out there in the public as well. Celebrity collaborations were brought in and the brand strategically expanded its audience reach through edition partnerships with major artists including Justin Bieber for Just Beats, Lady Gaga for Heartbeats and P. Diddy for Diddy Beats, and these collaborations created unique signature collections within the overarching space of the product. And there were strategic partnerships where innovative collaborations were moved with Chrysler, HP and HTC, embedding their audio technology into cars, computers and smartphones. So, it was taken out of the space of headphones and indoctrinated into various other adaptations in mobility and in automotive technology as well. This makes it truly remarkable because Beats' ascent in their minimum reliance on traditional advertising channels is something which is noteworthy. Jimmy Iovine proudly stated that we sold $500 million worth of product before we paid for one single ad. So, that is how they worked it out, and extraordinary organic growth ultimately captured Apple's attention and it led to the $3 billion acquisition in 2014. So, there are key success factors which we need to study in the Beats campaign. There was a clear target audience which they had identified. They had precisely targeted music enthusiasts and style conscious consumers who were willing to pay that top dollar and they had the money lying about, and they prioritized both audio excellence and social status, and they were willing to invest in premium products that delivered the combination of both. There was an authentic brand story because credible music industry veterans were seen sporting the particular item, and they possessed deep expertise in audio technology while understanding that contemporary music culture and consumer preferences were coming their way. And so, therefore, the influencer strategy that they had, it leveraged the strategic relationships with high profile celebs which we have discussed and authentically showcased the product right up front and center, and this created organic visibility and aspirational appeal amongst the entire music aficionado community. The messaging was consistent and established and maintained a distinctive brand identity across all consumer touchpoints and blended premium quality positioning with contemporary style elements and kept the brand as a premium offering throughout. Channel wise, it strategically evolved from premium headphones to diversified product lines including earbuds, speakers, integrated audio solutions across multiple technology platforms like we have discussed the HP, HTC and Chrysler innovations. It had impeccable consistency in messaging and combined these channel specific customizations as well. It created an immersive brand ecosystem which not only justified their premium pricing or it also cultivated a passionate community of brand advocates and they viewed their products as essential lifestyle statements. So, it became something which you would flaunt and that is precisely where it took it to the next level. Now, the criteria for effective IMC programs therefore comes into question. What is the coverage that you are trying to gain? Strategically, you reach your target audience across multiple channels with balanced overlap. So, that as long as you are creating overlaps between various channels, that overlap also creates a link to the next channel as you go through your messaging journey and it reinforces, because each time there is a frequency you actually create one more reason to buy and therefore, you reinforce your message and without wasteful repetition or gaps in communication and keep the consumer hooked. Then you contribute and you ensure each communication element both stands alone effectively and strengthens the overall campaign. So, therefore, if you were to look at one particular slice instant, it would tell the exact same story and if you looked at the entire campaign in one particular cohesive line, you would still find it all adding up together. So, this drives specific consumer responses and supports the broader marketing objectives. Commonality is also important here. You see consistent meaning and associations across touch points and a unified brand identity that enhances that you recognize that particular product and remember it across all the brand elements. And complementarily, you look at leveraging the unique strengths of different channels. You adapt your messaging to each particular channel and you send the brand attributes with consistency across. You allow each medium to deliver the messages it conveys best. So, you look at different facets of the brand and let the discovery also happen uniquely across the channels. Conformability wise, you design communications and ensure that both new prospects and existing customers are familiar with your brand and you create continuity and still engage different audiences very, very effectively. You make it all cost effective finally, because you assess each communication against the ROI and create a program that gives you better impact and lowers your budget requirement and eliminates inefficient spending altogether. So, these 6 criteria form the essential framework for evaluating integrated marketing communications effectivenesses and methodically when you assess each element, marketers can craft cohesive campaigns that deliver consistent messaging, maximize resource efficiency and create meaningful connections across all consumer touch points. Now, when we look at each individually, let us start understanding the strengths and strategic considerations. When we look at TV, what does it say about it? Key strengths which TV provides is it creates immersive demonstrations of product features and consumer benefits. It establishes a powerful emotional brand association and gives the chance to visually tell your story and then captures massive simultaneous viewership during premium live events like the Super Bowl in India, there is IPL. So, all of these give you various opportunities to showcase your brand well. Then it delivers unparalleled household penetration across demographic segments and puts your product out there for common acceptance and at least awareness. Then it also facilitates deep emotional engagement because it looks into the sight aspect, it gives you the sound to hear and the motion to attract and create a memory of it. Strategically speaking, there is substantial investment required because TV comes costly. It gives you $200,000 to $500,000 per 30-second national spots in America. India has its own figures. So, it is costly as a particular channel, but then it gets done especially if you are doing it for a large scale national level brand. Within the entire space, you can also look at your selective demographics geography wise and you can speak with them using other regional channels as well if it suits your media requirements. Now, the message comprehension is challenged by a very brief exposure window because 30 seconds to a minute at best is the kind of visual exposure your ads get. So, there is a complex production element which may overshadow the core brand messages, because the song and dance routine that you put out there, the light show that you create, all of those things may take away from the core brand messages at times. So, the production value has to be very, very carefully considered. And then there is media fragmentation also and commercial saturation, because fatigue sets in, and that may diminish the effectiveness, like the joke told 10 times. So, that is why there is an accelerating shift towards streaming platforms. Here it necessitates multi-channel strategy, and so therefore, that is the next move which is on the cards. You look at digital alternatives, and yet TV continues to serve the cornerstone medium reaction and builds brand awareness and as well as emotional connections, because there is thoughtfully integrated cross-platform campaigns. It allows you to connect with the other campaigns, becoming a central repository point. The transformation of viewing behaviors across traditional broadcasts, connected TVs and mobile devices presents sophisticated marketers with both complex challenges and unprecedented targeting opportunities, because there is something called cumulative reach. The blind spot you may reach at watching a particular ad on one particular medium may get tilted in favor of the ad and the brand when you are watching it on a different medium. It brings a certain familiarity back into play and showcases that here on a different medium you are able to look at the same ad, and it triggers a particular familiarity aspect in people's minds. Psychologically speaking, it gives you a certain added benefit that way. So, there was an Aflac Duck TV advertising success story. Here there was a distinctive brand icon where a persistent duck loudly quacking Aflac while being ignored by characters created an instantly recognizable symbol that cut through advertising clutter and transformed brand perception. It was a humor driven approach with witty campaigns, transforming a complex insurance product into an entertaining content generating genuine audience connection, because nowadays people are looking for memes, and memes are instant, they are immediately created, and a lot of fun is created around that story. So, there was a lot of brand integration. The duck's remarkable success led Aflac to incorporate it into their corporate logo in 2005, and it demonstrated how powerful creative advertising can fundamentally reshape and strengthen the brand identity. The Kaplan Thaler Group, the Aflac Duck campaign was done by them, and it catapulted brand recognition from a mere 13% to an extraordinary 91% within 3 years. First year sales surged 28%, sustained annual growth averaging 13% over the next entire decade. So, that is the kind of impact when you create something truly memorable. The campaign's exceptional performance in Japan boosted sales to about 55%, and this proves how distinctive creative concepts can transcend cultural boundaries and deliver measurable business results everywhere. Now, let us look at print advertising in the digital age, because print moving into the digital space is very, very challenging that way. Magazines have a certain way where they deliver immersive brand experiences, because they have rich detailed product narratives and aspirational imagery which keeps the consumer imagination stoked. Now, if you have got superior paper stock and printing techniques, you can showcase luxury products and unmatched visual fidelity, and so therefore, highly targeted readership through magazines, which if they are actually projecting a certain meeting of minds with that particular consumer audience, then you can put out specialized publications and create efficient audience reach through them. If the circulation numbers have declined, magazines retain significant influence amongst affluent consumers and category enthusiasts. So, there is for higher placed products with luxury and certain lifestyle connotations, magazines still have a certain kind of appeal. In terms of newspapers, it may be slightly different, where there is immediate local relevance for starters, and there is a time sensitive messaging and community credibility which comes with print in newspapers. It is a preferred medium for retail promotions and time limited offers. Versatile formats accommodates various sizes and placement strategies. You can choose where you want to place it. Traditional print circulation continues to decrease, yet digital newspaper platforms show promising growth. So, that transition also helps you to also put your ads in the digital format now, and offers broad reach despite shorter lifespan and reduced reproduction quality compared to the glossy publications. So, today you will find print advertising delivers tangible advantages within integrated marketing campaigns. There is the physical non-intrusive nature of print, because consumers engage with content at their preferred pace, and it is not very rudely interruptive as is any other format, and it creates ideal conditions for conveying nuanced messaging. And if you can put out certain factors which can tilt people's balances in their mind towards your brand very, very favorably, print still has that capability to do it. Research consistently shows effective print ads, and it follows a specific processing pattern, because there need to be captivating visuals which bring people closer. Then after that attraction, they create compelling headlines that generate the interest and want the consumer to read through, and strategic body copy which converts what the interest was into desire and finally into action. So, you have got the IDA model at play, and newspapers still manage to do that particular angle. Now, when you look at the anatomy of effective print advertisements, you have noticed your notice rate is less than 50%. Even exceptional print advertisements do not reach entirely the half of the publication's audience. The headline gets recalled about 30%, and a third of the viewers can actually recall the main message of the headline very accurately. A quarter actually recognizes the brand when they look at print. So, this is also an angle where the brand sponsoring the advertisement is noticed by just a quarter, and less than 10% is processing the content. So, fewer than 1 in 10 readers will actually engage with the body copy. So, this is the decline that you are seeing in print, but masterful print advertisements orchestrate a strategic visual journey, and they capture the image, putting attention into play, and you have got compelling headlines which guide readers towards the narrative, and body copy which puts out the value proposition. So, this is how print plays it out, and this is a resource which is now far more constrained than most marketing professionals estimate. So, therefore, you can look at certain campaigns which have done a good deal in the past. You can see Ray-Ban's Never Hide campaign. This was groundbreaking and commemorated the 75th anniversary of Ray-Ban. The visual narrative portrayed Ray-Ban wearers boldly distinguishing themselves from conformist crowds, and it was done across 7 distinct decades, powerfully reinforcing the brand's enduring commitment to authenticity and individualism. So, those 70 years were celebrated with the print campaign. Then there was an iPad mini which did again a fantastic print campaign here. Their back cover placements in prestigious publications and Time and New Yorker brilliantly showcased the iPad mini's dimensions by juxtaposing it against the actual magazine page, and this tactile, because you could touch it because it was on a magazine, 1:1 scale demonstration transformed a standard print advertisement into an interactive experience, because you were actually able to now check physically and see how big the iPad mini was, and allowed readers to physically grasp the product's proportions and get a idea of how big the mini would be in their hands actually. This was impossible in digital advertising, and that is where they played it to the strength of the medium. And again, in the medium you can put in various innovations. So, they can harness the inherent characteristics of physical media rather than merely transferring digital concepts to paper. Now, thoughtful incorporation of textured elements, specialized materials, fold out components, 3-dimensional features, marketings can create multi-sensory experiences. So, in India you will see a lot of innovation coming in print, especially from market leaders like the Times of India. They have put scent, they have put samples, they have created complete various designs of integrated copy inside the main page, and they have changed the way the newspaper looks also. So, a lot of dyes have also been used within that particular space. So, special printing, special treatment of papers has actually helped print stick out at certain point in time and created a certain virality which lasts for a certain time. So, these things are possible, and you can keep splurging on these to create that necessary impact and virality about the brand as well. Now, when we move to audio, we look at radio as the auditory advantage providing medium. Here you will see that it is a pervasive medium because despite the digital disruption, radio maintains an impressive 93% reach amongst Americans aged 12 and older who tune in for approximately 20 hours weekly. In India also, you will see transit time, especially people who are traveling in cars may listen to Spotify, or at times they also listen to the radio. Targeted reach, you will see specialized programming and strategic day part scheduling, and radio stations deliver finely tuned demographic targeting, allowing advertisers to connect with precisely defined audience segments because of the programming, and the programming then itself also becomes a micro channel within the offering of the overall macro universe of radio. It gives you the ability to consume on mobile because radio excels at capturing audiences during commutes and on the go moments when visual media falls short, and creates unique touch points throughout consumers' daily journeys. It also is cost efficient compared to TV and print. It has lower production and placement costs than visual media, and radio delivers exceptional ROI for local and regional campaigns and maintains high impact and audience engagement. It also has, through RJs etc., interactive elements built in, and these RJs also have their own presence on social media, thereby giving it a possible extension onto the digital platforms. So, when you are looking at creative audio advertising techniques, you can create signature sounds, distinct audio tunes and sonic branding elements are created. There are some very highly identifiable tunes like Titan has created its very clear audio operatic kind of sound, which helps Titan establish itself. Same thing has been created by brands like Rasna, brands like Britannia. A variety of brands use audio cues as digital as audio signatures. Then certain voices of personalities, once aligned with these brands, they also create carefully selected voice talent who provide distinct brand character and emotional connection with audiences. Then there is sonic storytelling, where you can create immersive audio driven narratives, and it captivates the listener imagination, creates memorable mental imagery. Again, podcasts are the latest track which people are taking to very well, and it gives strategically native content and seamlessly merges advertising with relevant programming for authentic engagement. So, this is still in evolution, and there are various ways through which brands can actually now find newfangled ways of reaching out to consumers. When you look at digital advertising, there is a lot of offering here as well. So, you have got online, you have got social media, you have got mobile, and search typically, because disposition again is very important. People want something, and that is when they get down to search. So, hence search takes pole position, followed by social media because people like to chat, interact and comment on various things. And then there is display advertising, which is in the form of banner ads, and video, which follows closely. Thereafter, you have got mobile app native advertising and other formats which are there. So, within this you can actually see that online video compared to TV cost merely 2.5 cents per viewer impression in America, and so therefore substantially lower than traditional television. It can achieve greater reach despite the potential differences in impact due to the varied screen dimensions and consumption environments. As consumer attention increasingly gravitates towards digital platforms because they become the first mode of contact, integrated marketing professionals also craft comprehensive strategies effectively harnessing each digital channel's distinctive advantages, and most successful campaigns seamlessly blend search, social, display and video elements and maintain consistent brand voice and messaging across all digital touchpoints, creating a cohesive consumer journey rather than disconnected advertising exposures which is splattered across various media formats. Now, when you are looking at social media platforms in integrated marketing communication strategy, Facebook is there. It offers the extensive demographic reach with precise targeting capabilities because it is the oldest one around, and it excels in community engagement, event marketing and video distribution. Beyond this, you have got Instagram, which is again a Meta extension, and it has powerful visual storytelling platform for lifestyle and aspirational content. Twitter, now X, is something which facilitates real time engagement and conversational marketing, and it is best for responsive customer service, breaking news distribution and establishing thought leadership, whereas LinkedIn is something which works with a very select audience, which is target professionals, and with precision gets B2B marketing initiatives going. Now, it is exceptional for establishing thought leadership, sharing industry expertise, talent acquisition and cultivating valuable business relationships. Now, within this, the streaming revolution also adds its impact on advertising. Here you had earlier traditional TV, where there was linear programming with scheduled content and minimal viewer control, but that moved to multi-device viewing, which now has content which is seamlessly accessible and across diverse platforms, including smart TVs, laptops, tablets and smartphones. You can start your content viewing on one particular device and shift very seamlessly to others and continue as you go along. So, it is content that follows you where you want it, and it is always on demand. So, these viewing contexts can actually create on demand tailored creative approaches, and format considerations can be taken on board. Now, because it is on demand streaming, viewers control the consumption, enabling personalized schedules and content discovery also, because if you see YouTube is the second largest search engine after Google. It is owned by Google, but people look for various answers on YouTube and they search for certain things. So, the search angle, which is Google's core delivery platform, it is embedded inside of YouTube, and it offers diverse monetization models spanning ad products, supported tiers, subscription only services and hybrid offerings also, where you can get premium upgrades. There are new ad formats which also come, where there are innovative engagement tools including interactive overlays, instantly shoppable content, customizable skip options and AI driven personalized recommendations based on comprehensive viewing histories. So, it all comes now pre-packaged with algorithmic support, so that the consumer and the brand's distancing is minimized. Then there is place advertising and environmental marketing. Here you have got out of home innovation in the form of OOH, you have got point of purchase innovation in form of the various freestanding units and various adjuncts that can be created, and then there are experiential spaces which can be created and come as pop-up or permanent installations as well. So, all of these things now add to the experience of consumers wherever they are. There are events and experiences which add to IMC. Here you see strategic event selection. You identify events that authentically reflect what brand values you have, and they resonated with the target audiences that you have in mind and want to reach out to. So, it evaluates demography and media visibility opportunities and competitive landscape positioning also while you are looking at it. Comprehensive integration is possible because you can create an activation strategy that seamlessly connects to live experience and complementary campaign elements across multiple touch points before, during and after the event. So, it keeps that audience engaged throughout that particular event. It is immersive. So, hence you can derive meaningful brand interactions, captivating the participants and facilitating authentic product experiences. Strategically, you can create memorable, shareable moments and extend this reach beyond the attendees, and you can get the attendees to participate, which will give you earned media. If you give them tasks and you actually give them some sort of gratification immediately or at a delayed stage, you are also creating gamification. If you do it at a consistent way and give them chances to climb up certain rankings, then you are also doing a segment of gamification known as leaderboarding. And in the activities where people share this, the earned media actually plays out in the form of user generated content. So, UGC is also part of the entire offering set, and this helps create performance measurement metrics, because you implement robust evaluation frameworks and you move beyond the basic attendance metrics, and you can see engagement depth, sentiment trends, user generated content quality, downstream conversion behaviors. All of these things you can look and analyze and see how it plays out in consumers' actual lives beyond the extent of the experience that you have created. Now, all of this, when you are talking about the content being extended, you are actually looking at word of mouth and viral marketing. Here you create remarkable content, you develop content worthy of discussion and sharing, you get identity influencers who are respected voices in relevant communities, and you get them to push that particular piece out. You also then facilitate conversations, you provide platforms and incentives for discussions, and this also leads to UGC, because people comment, interact and push it out more, and so more and more people answer and reply and share it, which is where you amplify the ability to share it and make it easily shareable across platforms. And then while you are doing all of this, you monitor and respond to whatever is happening out there. So, word of mouth represents the most powerful and authentic form of marketing communication, creating unparalleled credibility with the consumer at the end. And in totally connected digital ecosystems, brand conversations proliferate continuously as they go online, and exponentially they are amplified by social networks and extend influence far beyond your traditional social circles alone. Now, IMC strategies deliberately cultivate and nurture positive discussions rather than relying exclusively on controlled messaging. If you remember the conversation, that what the consumers talk amongst themselves is where the brand will be, in one of the quotes we had taken up. This helps you recognize that consumer advocacy generates impact that paid media cannot replicate. So, you have to move towards a space where you are generating earned media, and that is something which is huge when it comes to what IMC can do for consumers. Now, when we talk about publicity and public relations, here there are certain parts like media relations, where you are using journalists and media outlets to secure valuable editorial coverage of organizational developments, product innovation and thought leadership, and this gives third party validation and potentially reaches more diverse audiences than your traditional paid marketing does. Then in terms of crisis, you are able to plan and respond communication through challenging situations, and they prevent the threat that comes to the organization through transparent messaging, demonstrated accountability and decisive action that covers ground. Then you have got CSR, where with responsibility you showcase your organizational values and create meaningful societal contributions. Here again positive stakeholder sentiment and editorial interest is piqued. So, CSR programs strategically align with business objectives, create compelling storytelling opportunities across multiple channels, and overall investor relations helps targeted communication come out in front of financial stakeholders, and this enhances the company valuation and strengthens the market positioning. The business strategy, performance metrics and growth forecasts all build lasting confidence amongst the current shareholders and potential investors who may want to invest with the organization as well. So, then we reach product packaging, which also creates a layer of communication. Here if you have got distinctive design, then the shapes, colors, graphics and what your complete offering is, it instantly establishes brand recognition and command attention on shelves if you are able to stand apart from whatever else is there. Now, these signature visual elements put powerful brand identifiers and create memorable differentiation in crowded competing environments. In terms of information design, you create organization of product details, benefits and usage instructions and guide consumer understanding and facilitate confident purchasing decisions. Strategically, you put the hierarchy and emphasize key selling propositions and maintain regulatory compliance, which you also mention on your packaging, covering your legal ground. In terms of the value that you bring, You can put carefully selected materials, you can increase the production techniques and design elements, and authentically communicate brand values like sustainability, premium quality, innovation. All of these things get conveyed in the stylization of your packaging. And effective packaging transcends functional requirements and gives the expression of the brand's core personality and importantly its purpose. So, you showcase what you believe in as a brand, how you execute that out there in real life, and all of these things are manifested in packaging at the end point where consumers want to purchase. How do you go about building a team which delivers on all of these requirements? There is a traditional structure to a marketing team. Here organizations manage marketing communications through disconnected departments and specialized agencies for each particular aspect. So, ad agencies would do the mainstream campaigns, PR firms would handle media and publicity, promotion specialists would do sales events, packaging design guys would come and develop product presentation, and direct marketing would execute an targeted outreach. Now, this siloed approach frequently resulted in inconsistent messaging, and brands used to get fragmented in the eyes of the consumer. Now, there was suboptimal resource allocation because no synergy actually existed between departments. Here, when you move to an integrated approach, you see true integration. Forward thinking companies have strategically restructured their marketing functions. You have a CMO who provides unified leadership across all communication channels. Full service agencies deliver comprehensive multi-channel expertise. Dynamic cross-functional internal teams collaborate seamlessly, ensuring information flow from one to the other team, and centralized creative assets which are tapped into by all of them. And this puts rigorous brand guidelines out there for everyone to follow, and for the consistency is pushed out. Holistic measurement frameworks look at evaluating overall communication effectiveness against the decided objectives. And this is critical because how will you measure if you have not created a benchmark or a peg to map it to? So, this gives a cohesive strategic direction and leverages specialized expertise and ensures you reach to the consumer at every point of their customer journey. In terms of the planning process, you analyze the situation you are in, then you set your goals and objectives, you create your audience identification, accordingly you create your messaging strategy, you choose your channels where you want to be, and also measure how your performance is going when it comes to tracking key performance indicators, evaluating ROI against strategic objectives, and enabling continuous campaign optimization, and this gives you the entire planning process for integrated marketing communications. The consumer side is also explored from all possible angles, and it is a 360-degree consumer view. The initiator of this is purchase behavior. So, here what you do is you comprehensively look at transaction history, product preference patterns, price sensitivity indicators, and cross channel shopping behaviors. So, this gives you what the drivers are from the consumer's perspective. You look at digital engagement, here website interaction matrix, application usage, content consumption, and social media engagement. All of these illuminate how your digital consumer journey is progressing. Then you take on all the feedback and reviews, you look at how people have rated you, what are the survey responses talking about your quality, and how are they expressing their thoughts about the brand. You look at documented customer service interactions and see what kind of objection and problem solution handling has been done by the organization, and then advanced sentiment analysis through capture of voice of consumer insights. So, then you look at the demographic profile of people and find out essential identifiers that include age distribution, geography, household composition, and income brackets from which they come. Any other fundamental customer characteristic is also looked into. Then detail out the psychographic attributes. You look at the core values these people showcase, what their lifestyle preferences are, if they have any interest in what would those be, and how is their attitude in general, and profile you will get profoundly clear abilities to influence consumer decisions because you are mapping it to the consumer expertise, abilities, expressed attitudes, etc., and you use those to the hilt to make it something which aligns best with the consumer. And then you implement it across all your physical touch points. So, in stores visit patterns, event participation history, tangible brand interactions, and complete the omni-channel customer experience picture through all of these exercises. Now, when it comes to the messaging strategy, how do you figure out whether you want consistency or customization depending on the channel mix? You have a core message platform. So, this is essentially your brand narrative, and there are certain value propositions that you want to throw at consumers. Now, here the foundational elements establish the brand positioning and build a certain recognition, certain memory about how it works with strategic repetition of key themes. What does it look like? What does it say? How does it behave? All of these factors are brought in by the core message platform. Thereafter, you look at channel optimization. Here there are strategic adaptations and harnessing of each communication medium's unique strengths, and you preserve core message integrity. This customization acknowledges that different channels excel at conveying specific types of information and engaging audiences in distinct ways. When you are going through the entire journey, what you do is you sequence the messaging aligned with consumer decision stages, and you also try and predict where that journey will take them on which particular device or interaction touch point. And then you deliver appropriate information as the prospect progresses from awareness through consideration and finally to purchase. This approach ensures the messaging evolves naturally and maintains cohesive thematic continuity. Once you are doing this right, you get the audience relevance also going, where you ensure that your message variations address specific needs, preferences, communication styles, and look at the various diverse target segments, maintaining brand consistency. The personalization enhances the relevance you are trying to create and resonates with the fragmented overall brand identity and piles up together into one nice tidy heap. Now, when you are looking at functional integration across departments, you start with marketing because that is where the core of IMC is, and instantly you get sales in because they are immediately affected because of these. Customer service too, because they have to look after whatever is getting missed out, and there is a challenge in the product, which then obviously comes in next, because feedback gets product improvements going, and operations ensures that the logistics is not missed out on. All of these things, both in terms of the revenues gained and the spends made, have impact in finance. So, that is where you are going to finally answer things, and if you need better people to do this job, HR comes in and helps you out with that. So, that is typically how your functional integration across departments happens. And when you spend on integrated campaigns, then you start with emerging platforms, because strategic investments in innovative channels always helps in creating a buzz. The second part is you support this through other channels which are complementary media and amplify the core messaging wherever you have started from. You put out performance drivers across and see how your ROI across channels is giving you measurable results. You build more awareness by reaching to broad reach vehicles and establish that you have a certain kind of market presence, and behind all of these things is the strategic foundation, your essential brand assets and messaging architecture, which ensures that everything is working in the intended direction. So, it has a sophisticated balance of investments across the entire marketing ecosystem, and traditional approaches often segmented budgets by individual channels, creating operational silos and fragmented messaging. IMC is a much more holistic approach in all. It has strategic budgeting which prioritizes customer journey touch points and overarching campaign objectives rather than the rigid channel based allocations, and it ensures that marketers dynamically redistribute the resources based on real time performance and emerging opportunities. If you measure IMC's effectiveness in terms of brand awareness, you will see that organizations experiencing substantial increases in brand recognition through strategically IMC campaigns you will see it go up to something like 67%. Cost efficiency wise, if you see average reduction in cost per acquisition, you will see IMC giving you about 43% lesser cost. And then when you convert consumers, you will see conversions amongst consumers across multiple touch points increase to 3.2x if you have done your job right, and you are able to retain about close to 3/5, which is 60%. So, here we are talking about 58%. That is the amount of people you are able to retain. There will be some people who fall off in eventually across the entire brand, but that churn is to be expected. That is why you advertise, you market, so that you keep getting more and better consumers continuously. There are common implementation challenges also for IMC. At the heart of it is the organization itself. So, if the organization is not really aligned towards IMC, you will find that there are disparate objectives, budgets, reporting hierarchies, which all become hurdles in the path of IMC. Then the budget comes into play, where if there is channel centric budgeting frameworks which foster internal competition rather than strategic collaboration, again it is the death knell for IMC. The third part is specialized expertise, because if you have got excessive specialization within the marketing functions and creates significant knowledge gaps about complementary channels, then you are again undermining the consistent brand execution across touchpoints, because one may be a master of events, but if they do not understand PR, then they do not understand how one works with the other, and in similar cases various other media channels. Again, in terms of measurement, there is a disconnect, because fragmented analytics and conflicting attribution methodologies will prevent comprehensive evaluation, and integrated campaigns will not get measured properly, and your accurate ROI will not be understood. So, where does the future of IMC really look to be going towards? You will clearly see AI powered personalization at a hyper personalized level, because more and more data is going to AI, and machine learning helps it cultivate the approach for a very, very individual interaction. You will see voice integration already in the form of AI chatbots like Alexa, Siri, Google Home, etc. You will have more AR, VR experiences. In fact, right now people are moving towards wearable tech, where you can actually look at glasses which will show you things on a screen while you are able to look through and see the world outside as well. And beyond that, privacy will be very, very important to the entire design format. Again, there is a case study here where Apple has an integrated approach, and they have actually managed to do this. They have controlled environments, and stores deliver meticulously crafted brand experiences. So, they do not allow the stores to shift one from the other very clearly, and the spaces are very thoughtfully designed. So, these environments strategically reinforce the brand's premium positioning, their core adherence to design tenets, and all these core values are also communicated in the space design of where the stores are. It transforms the product interaction into a memorable sensory experience. Their distinctive design language also goes through every touch point, from advertising and packaging to product interfaces, and Apple maintains a rigorous, consistent visual identity. The signature aesthetic features and clean minimalistic design, premium materials, and obsessive attention to detail instantly communicates the brand values without requiring any explicit explanation. And then there are orchestrated launches, which are always done through PR. They have strategic integration, blending media events, advertising campaigns, retail activations, and digital content, and they do all of these very, very precisely choreographed, and the experiences are handheld from one point to the other, taking the consumer across. They dominate the cultural conversation and demonstrate how coordinate channels can actually amplify one another's impact. So, when you start about your IMC action plan, you audit your current communication, see what is going wrong and well, then you establish your integration framework, and here you create robust integration guidelines, you restructure the processes that you may have, you finally implement unified measurement across the board, and you always look to improve, you continuously optimizing your path forward. So, key takeaways wise, you have to have a strategic alignment within the organization and amongst vertical integrated players, whether inside or outside the organization. Then you have to have a customer centric approach with the feedback loop built in. You have to have balanced integration. So, you masterfully balance consistent core messaging with channel specific optimization, and organizational wise you look at enablement. So, you put out cross functional collaboration, give people shared objectives to follow, unify how you measure your performance, and secure executive commitment before you start the entire process of IMC going forward. So, with that we come to an end of this conversation. We will take up IMC in much more detail in the next ensuing conversation. I will see you next time.